What is going on, you guys? How are y'all doing today? So we are back there with another video, and we're going to be riding my 2020 Yamaha R6, and we're going to be talking about something really important, or well, better, a question that's asked a lot in the motorcycle community that I've seen, and that would be people wondering, should they buy a Yamaha R6 or buy a Yamaha R7, because those are both two really popular bikes. So in this video today, I'm going to be answering it and giving my personal opinion, because if you guys don't know, I had a 2023 Yamaha R7 in Intensity White, and I did a full exhaust, tuned the suspension, and rode that bike a few thousand miles. So before I hopped up to this R6 right here, and now on this R6 I've done similar mods, so I can kind of give a good gauge on it. I've ridden this stock, I rode the R7 stock, I rode this tuned with an exhaust, and I rode the R7 tuned with an exhaust. So I'm going to be able to kind of give you guys a good gauge on which bike you should get if you want a bike that acts like this, or even if you're qualified to ride the bike, you know. So I'm going to go between a lot of these different points in today's video and just kind of talk to you guys about it. So without further ado, let me get this thing fired up and head out on the road so I can kind of get into all these points, and hopefully by the end of this video you guys can gauge whether the R6 or R7 is better for you. Woo. Got that amazing 600 sound right there though. Can't beat that, let me tell you that right off the bat. And we are being safe today, so we are fully geared up in leathers, jacket, pants, boots, gloves. So always wear your gear, guys, let me tell you that. Even if it's a quick little ride, always still wear some gear. Going down at 5 miles an hour on this thing can still seriously hurt you, so please be safe. Oh man, I still gotta break on these pants. These things are so tight. My legs like cannot move that much. Oh my god, how do you go like sit in a steaming hot like bath or something and break these pants in? Feels so good being back on this bike, man. I haven't ridden in 4 or 5 days. I've been itching for it. Itching for some adrenaline. Hearing a really nice exhaust note and some decent power. Let me tell you guys something. In a car, you don't feel like how I feel right now. This is such a free, raw feeling. Like there's just so much emotion behind riding a bike. That's why I've been straying away so much from cars recently. Just because bikes give me the feeling that I truly want, which is just something where you're so connected to what you're riding, and where it's really analog. There's not a lot of technology. You really have to be putting in your effort 24/7 to be riding a bike properly. So it's something I like. But yeah, man, so let me kind of get this video started off. So the R7 was the second bike that I owned. I had a Honda Grand before that, which I rode, and that kind of helps me get into my original point. So let me first talk about what bikes you guys are qualified to even ride or own, in my personal opinion, because anybody is going to have a different answer for this. Any person you ask, they're going to kind of tell you something different. So all of what I'm saying in my video, all of what I'm saying in this video is my own personal opinion. If you disagree with me, feel free to let me know in the comments below. But I'm just going to go based on what I think. So R7 versus R6. Now when buying a bike, I think our guys' first thought should be, am I qualified to ride this? And will I be safe riding this bike? Is it too much for me? Like, is it too much for me to handle? So if you guys are looking at getting an R7, I would say, and then after I get to this point, I'll talk about these bikes kind of head-to-head against each other. So if you guys are looking at getting an R7, I do not think that it should be your first bike. I know it's a very big thing to say, oh, it's the best beginner bike, and a lot of people have said it, but I personally don't believe that you should start on that bike if you have zero motorcycle riding experience. So if you have never ridden one at all in your life, do not start an R7. I think that you should start on something no more than 300 to 400 cc's max. That is all you need. You're just learning the basics, you guys. It doesn't matter what bike you buy, how slow or fast it is, you can always just sell it and buy something else. There's nothing keeping you attached to it. So if you have no experience, do not even look into buying the R7. Go ahead, pick yourself up a R3, Ninja 400, and you'll be fine with that. But if you have a little bit of motorcycle experience, for example, if you've ridden bikes a little bit before, if you guys have a little bit of motorcycle experience, for example, like if you've just ridden them a little bit before, you have a good understanding of how everything works, clutch, brake, just leaning, turning, or if you've even ridden dirt bikes, you know, if you have experience riding dirt bikes, then I think the R7 can be your first bike, and then it'd be appropriate. If you have some of that experience, then I would say, yeah, you can start an R7, you'll be totally fine. And now for the R6, what qualifications do you kind of need to ride one of these? So in my personal opinion, I would say you do have a good amount of motorcycle riding experience. So let's say you've already have your beginner bike. You have like a Ninja 400, for example. You've ridden that for a little bit. You have a really good understanding about bikes and you want to step up. Then I would say, okay, you can move up from the Ninja 400 to pick up an R6. Then I think, you know, you're qualified enough to do that and be safe and be comfortable as a rider. May not get hit at this light. This one is so blind. So to get an R6 or any 600, already have your beginner bike, already be comfortable on that before stepping up to one of these. Then I'd say you're qualified enough. So have some good road time, so have some good experience on the road and actual street riding time. Okay, so now one of our qualifications. So can you even start on these bikes? First of all, where's your experience level at? Then we finished with that. Let me kind of talk about the head-to-head between the R7 and the R6, coming as a rider who's ridden both. That was fun. Okay, so the R7 and the R6, completely different motors. And the R7, which is a common misconception, is not faster than the R6. So the R7 is a 700cc bike, which is a 2-cylinder. So it sounds completely different. Now the R6 is a 600cc bike, which is an inline 4, so it has double the amount of cylinders. So that's why this bike is faster. Now where it's different is because the R7 is kind of around like 70 horsepower and the R6 is 119 horsepower. But when you're street riding, the R7, when you're riding in a city and kind of lower speed areas, the R7 is honestly going to feel quicker because that bike is pretty torquey. It has a lot of low end torque, so it'll pick up really quickly once you just get on the throttle. So if yours like this, that bike is just ready to go. It's really snappy low end at these lower speeds, like 35, 45 mile an hour zones. And now where this bike differs, the R6, is because this power band, you really need to string out and be pushing very hard to find the power. This bike, you're going to find the power top end in the high RPMs. Like you really have to be ringing it out, like past 8,000 RPMs to really start to get in the power band. Now this bike, the red line basically goes up to around 16,000 RPMs, and on the R7 it goes to like, I want to say between like 10 and 11,000. So it's a big difference there in the RPMs in the power band. The R6 is going to shine on where you have more open stretch of roads and not in a tight city environment. And the top speed on the R7, I want to say was around 140, 145, where on the R6 it's around 165. Oh, got a bump. So basically, if you're in like a lower speed limit area and doing a lot of like lower speed city riding, you're not really going to find that much enjoyment out of this bike because you have to be stringing it out. You have to be really pushing this bike to feel the power that it has. But if you were on the R7, for example, that's a lot more fun for your casual city street riding because the power's there. Since it's in the lower RPM, you have that low end torque. It's going to be a lot more engaging for you and a lot more usable. The R7, even though it doesn't have like the most power, all the power is so usable, so that's what makes it fun. You're able to rip that bike a lot and not be worried too much about going these insane speeds and getting like a felony. Where the R6 on the other hand, you know, this thing does pick up a lot quicker. So once you're ripping, it does want to go. These 600s aren't no slouch. Now as far as like the handling, the R6 by far is better than the R7. The R7 I'd say has a lot more comfortable suspension, so it's a lot more bouncy. And now I did still get the suspension on the R7 tuned to my weight, and it did help out a bit. You know, it did notice a change riding it before and after, but once I hopped on the R6, that was honestly like the biggest shocker I've had, because this is like, I would call it a more true sport bike suspension. Something more aggressive and stiff and really tight. Oh my gosh! Oh, I'm like the fattest cramp in my leg right now, bro. Ah. just had a few little nice pulls right there, and this bike is no slouch, you know. I can't even imagine going to a liter bike because that's literally like double the power that this has. Dang. But yeah, suspension on the R6 by far more aggressive, way more for the track, and better in every single metric performance wise. R7 is way more of a street bike, comfortable street bike that you can just ride every day. You're not going to be super uncomfortable. It does still have a sporty seating position, but it is not uncomfortable like the R6 is. The R6 I'm very leaned over. The R7 I'm a lot more upright. Okay. So that's just another thing to note there. I'd say the R7 is way more of a sport bike for the street, and the R6 is a track bike for the street. So yeah, more to that point is this bike is not that comfortable to ride at all. My R7 I could ride for hours and I would be chilling. You know, I wouldn't be complaining like, oh, my back hurts, my legs are sore, everything is just, feels like it's broken. But on this bike, it is a completely different story. I'm already like mildly uncomfortable after 20-30 minutes of riding. Now, as far as looks, I really don't think that you can go wrong with either bike. Like, they're both very attractive. The R7 is, by far, in my opinion, one of the best new looking street bikes. It looks really, really good. Okay, and you're gonna go last minute into my lane. That is awesome. Dang, this car's paint been through something. Okay, but yeah. Looks wise, they're both extremely good looking bikes. Now the gauge clusters are really different though. R7 has more like a, it's not a TFT display, but I think it's called like an LCD. So it does have kind of some digital gauges, where this one is a little bit of digital, but mainly analog on the R6. Which I actually personally like this analog gauge on the R6 more than the R7. If the R7 had like a TFT display, like the ZX4RR, then I maybe would like that more. But as far as R7 and R6 goes, I like this gauge cluster better. And now modes, the R7 does not have any sort of power modes. Nothing like that. You get on it, you ride it, it's got turn signals, and that's about it. But on the R6, you do have a little bit of adjustability for modes wise. You have A mode, standard, and B mode. So those basically all adjust your how aggressive your throttle is, with A mode being the most aggressive. So it is cool to have that kind of on demand, so you can kind of ease into the bike, or if you're not trying to ride crazy, then just dumb it down a little bit. Oh, bro, I need to break in these pants. I literally feel like my legs are like stuck. Like I have like no range of motion. And now, kind of next point, as far as exhaust note goes, they are two very different sounds. The R7 is a lot more muscly. You can even compare it to like something like a Harley Davidson. So that bike is a lot more kind of like muscle sounding, where this bike just screams. And the R6, I'd have to say, sounds better, because I like more of the high pitch exhaust note. So it's really going to go off based off your personal preference there. Both bikes sound very good in their own ways, but they're two completely different sounding bikes, so there's honestly no comparison there. Just like I said, comes down to personal preference. Not a full Yoshimura system on my R7, and it sounded amazing. I really liked the exhaust note. Clean, unique, sounded great. And on my R6 I have a full system. I have F-Pavich headers, SC Project slip-on, and this bike is so insanely loud. It's not even funny. If I drop it down a few gears, like, it is screaming so loud. This motor just is so loud. I cannot even hear myself think, if I'm being like honest. But hey, I like it. I kind of wanted to be a little bit obnoxious on this bike, considering that it's a 600 and just the way that they scream at the high RPMs like that. Now I'm trying to think of what other points can I go into, but I feel like I talked about a lot. And now I know it's not like your traditional bike review, but it's just coming from my personal experience and an honest owner review. Now, I still did love both bikes, and if I went back before I bought either of them, I would never change a thing. The R7 taught me so much about riding, really got me comfortable in leaning and just every single aspect of riding for me to hop on this R6 right here, which is a very aggressive bike, and still feel comfortable. And like I said, I just want you guys to be safe, so really just think about before even looking into buying these bikes, are you qualified for any of them first, you know? You guys really need to be safe and really judge your own self and be like, okay, do I have enough experience to genuinely ride this bike and not hurt myself? Because it's so easy to get hurt on one of these things, man. I could just go like this, fall over, or hit a little rock, and I break my leg. You guys really just need to be comfortable on what you're riding, be confident. Having too much power at your fingertips is definitely a risk, you know? So you just have to know yourself and know what you guys, and know where your skill level lies. In riding, I know everybody wants to just hop up to the leader bike as fast as they can because that's what's cooler and you feel like you'll be more respected that way, but it's not how riding works, man, you know? You can be riding anything and people will respect you. It's just how you ride. If you ride horrible on the road and are dangerous for yourself and others, you're obviously not going to be respected. But if you know what you're doing on a 125cc bike, people are going to treat you the same as if you know what you're doing on a leader bike. So just keep that in mind, guys. Don't just buy something because it's cool or you think you'll get more views on social media. Buy something which you guys are qualified for. Bro, you still got some room to move up. They just dropped something on their car, so they stopped short. This lady. Well, anyways, that's kind of my owner's perspective review on each bike. It's kind of their differences and just between them. So if you guys wonder which one's better, it's which one's better for you, not which one's a better bike, because they're so different. They're really not comparable. If it was like a ZX6R to R6, okay, those are comparable and there's a simple answer, this is better or that's better. But R6 to R7, they're two completely different bikes, so it's what's better for you and how you're going to use the bike and how you're going to ride. That's the determining factor on which one you should buy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Please take care, ride safe, wear your gear. Peace.